Welcome to the Fans Ed Sports Show. But thank God I'm not a Florida fan. Just out here looking trash.
People call me crazy for saying they had 6 losable games on their schedule.
That's where I picked y'all preseason.
So I don't know how, but somehow they got some excitement around their program right now.
Welcome to the Fans Ed Sports Show, hosted by your boys, Cleveland Mike and your boy Terry, man. Terry, what is going on, man? How you living?
Hey, man, everything's been good on this end, man. How's your week been?
Man, I cannot complain. Week has been good, and guess we're about to go into my birthday, week, coming up.
Oh,
hopefully
snap.
the Buckeyes can deliver, a nice little early B-Day present. So
Dang, so that means your birthday was around all them losses the last couple of years, man. They ruined your birthday, Mike.
Yeah. Been terrible, yep. So hopefully it will not be that way this weekend, man. But Terry, man, we got a pretty busy show. But before we get into it, man, I need everybody to go ahead, make sure that they hit that like and subscribe button for us. Go ahead and do that. And if you're watching on Twitter, man, go ahead, hit the retweet button and make sure you're subscribed, man. Also, hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube. That way you know exactly when we go live, man. We appreciate all of y'all in here. And, the biggest thing that we always start off with, Terry, is the college football playoff reactions, right?
Mm-hmm.
College football rankings was last night. Not too much of a difference in the top 5. You still got Notre Dame there at 6, Alabama at 7, BYU at 8. Not really much of a change, and you still got Boise up there at 12. So, Terry, what are you thinking your first reactions from the college football playoff committee?
Yeah, I mean, dude, nothing really crazy on there, right? I mean, I know there's been a lot of like turmoil all over the internet about from the SEC fans, and it's kind of crazy, to be honest. Like, I mean, it's like they don't understand that the season's going to continue to go on and the rankings are going to continue to change. I mean, look at, the big game this weekend, Ohio State, Indiana. Assume Ohio State wins that. Indiana's going to drop behind like all of them teams probably, you know what I mean? Just with one loss. So nothing really crazy stood out to me on that, Mike. What do you think about it? I know you had some beef with them last week when you was talking about it was just the AP poll with a show.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm always going to probably have some issues with the college football playoff committee. You talk about, I could always find issues. You talk about Notre Dame being up there at 6 with a loss at home to an NIU. Again, I can still make a case for why SMU could be up there, right? Their only losses to a number 14 BYU. I can always go back and use the committee stuff against them of why their rankings just does not make sense. And guess what? All they did was put BYU exactly where the AP poll was. AP poll got them at 14. BYU's at 14. SMU at 13. BYU's at 13. Guess what? AP poll got Notre Dame at 6. What does the college football playoff committee do? Put them at 6. So, it's kind of crazy how they are running this. The college football playoff committee, I guess the only difference was you could say that they flip-flopped Georgia, Miami, and stuff like that. But other than that, it is what it is.
Alabama moved up a couple spots, so
yeah. And then also, you start looking they're backloading it. You got Missouri back there. I don't know why. Shout out to the AP poll. They didn't even put Missouri in the top 20.
They were like number 21 or 22 last week and lost and moved to like 23. I don't know. I guess the team they played was also ranked right around there. So I guess they made up their mind that no matter which team won that game, as long as it was not a blowout, that both them teams were staying like right there.
But we knew Missouri was not even about that life. We all knew that. You consider that.
We know that.
And that's the issue with going off of last year's perceptions, right? This is why the games need to be played. That's why I'm so against the AP poll, because all of these previous exceptions, you got people talking about sitting here saying, hey, does it matter when that team was ranked? No, it matters where you're ranked after, right? Because now we have data. Now we have what you did on the field. It always matters after the games, not before the games. I hate that when people sit there and say, oh, this is where they were ranked. No. I mean, if you go back and you look at some of these preseason rankings, it'd be crazy if you sit here and say, oh, yeah, we should give them credit for this team when that team ended at like 6-6. No, we're not doing that here.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel the same way like about Ohio State, like with Ryan Day. People talk about like his top 5 record or whatever. Like, I don't know. Some of them, like the game against Notre Dame when it was the top 5, like that was not really 2 top 5 teams. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But obviously you have to look at the rankings at the end of the year, man. It changes throughout the whole year, and all the stuff from the beginning of the year is all just projections anyway. Like Michigan was ranked at the beginning of this year, so if you play Texas played Michigan early in the year, and they got like a ranked win or like a big time win, right, and Michigan ended up stinking. Now Texas's schedule is like basically just Texas is just Indiana, except they done played Georgia, and now Indiana's going to play Ohio State. I mean, like who do you think would win that matchup, Texas or Indiana? Because that would be a hell of a game to me.
It would. Honestly, it would. Now, obviously, the same way we're going into the Ohio State game, you're like Ohio State has the better pieces, right? I would say the same thing about Texas. And everybody wants to say, look at strength of schedules, but Texas and Indiana both have only beaten one opponent that's above 500. So, I mean, everybody's talking about, oh, let's leave Indiana out with 1 loss. Well, then if that's the case, let's make an argument for Texas being left out with 1 loss. Why hasn't that been started?
And you know what? I don't know like record wise, but I think if you put these 2 teams on the field, they'll probably compete together. Their schedules are very similar, even to finish. Like Ohio State's going to play Indiana, so that's like Texas's Georgia game, right? And Texas still has to play Texas A&M, but Indiana still has to play Washington. No, they don't have to play Washington. Do they? No. I'm wrong about that. I'm thinking about Oregon. Oregon has to play Washington.
Oregon has to play Washington.
Never mind. Forget what I said there. Drop the whole thought.
But yeah, I think that, a lot of people want to talk about Indiana, but here's the thing, this is where I have an issue where everybody is starting to look at logos, because if you look at what Indiana has done to the nobodies, as everybody says, right? And then you go back and you look at when Georgia played nobodies and that team up north played nobodies, and you go and you look at the data, guess who has been basically doing a better job against their nobodies? Indiana is doing a better job against their nobodies than what Georgia was doing, than what the team up north was doing. Also, you want to talk about the nobodies, there's common opponents that Ohio State and Indiana have. And guess what Indiana did? Did better than Ohio State as well. So we could sit here and say that, but I don't believe if Indiana was to take a loss, however that is, that they should be punished and kept out the CFP. And I would say this to SEC fans: why not be happy? The Big Ten and the SEC are the top 2 conferences, if we can agree on that. If the top 2 conferences one gets 4 and the other gets 4, why is that an issue? When the committee is sitting here telling you the ACC only getting 1 and the Big 12 is only getting 1, what is your issue? There should be no issue when 2 of the biggest conferences are getting 8 teams in combined, and every other conference is sitting here, oh, we only got 1 team that's going to possibly get in.
They won 5. They won 5 teams, man.
5 what? Who?
They won 5 teams. I mean,
15.
What will be the? All right, let's run through it. What will be their 5 teams? Their 5 teams will be Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, In Texas, that's their 5 they won in.
Okay, but somebody's about to end up with either a third loss, right? And if we're talking about Texas, if they lose to Texas A&M, then what?
They should be out. They don't play nobody else. And they already lost to Georgia. They lose to Texas A&M. They should be up out of there. Now, I mean, they're sitting at 3, so I don't know. I mean, that a loss to Texas A&M. Where are they ranked? You got to
pull up. They drive BYU 8 spots. So I know it don't matter to me. They out of there. I mean, Texas A&M sitting there at 15, bro. But if you go and you take a loss to Texas A&M, it's a wrap. That's only
but listen, if Texas A&M beats Texas, then Texas A&M goes to the SEC championship game.
Hey,
so then things get real weird. So I don't know, man. Listen, if the SEC has 5 teams that are amongst the top, like the best 12 teams in college football, then I'm cool with them being in. I just think that they shouldn't be tripping right now, man. Like, we still have multiple weeks of football left.
Facts.
2, like your teams that should be in the playoff, like you're either in or you're out. It doesn't matter what the seeding is. Mm-hmm. Like your teams that should be in the playoff are currently in the top 12. So like, what do you? I don't know. Like, what are you complaining for? You know what I mean?
Facts. Yeah. I 1000% agree. There is no reason to complain when I'm sitting here looking, because my whole thing was you keeping teams out for a crappier conference. And right now I'm just not seeing that. Like, you could say, oh, that group of 5 school or whatever, the Boise State shouldn't get a spot. We already had that conversation before the year. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm not seeing it. They're telling you the ACC isn't worth anything. The Big 12 isn't worth anything. The Big 10 and the SEC is where it's at. Is that not what the commissioners wanted? The commissioners fought for and said, hey, we think that it should be taken into account. Because I'll tell you this, why would the Big 10 not be pissed off if Indiana is left out and they only get 3 teams in, and then the SEC get 5 in?
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I get like the middle part of the Big 10 is not as good as the SEC, but like on the top, I do truly believe that the Big 10 is as good or better than the SEC. And I mean, because honestly, like looking at teams like Georgia, bro, they lost 2 games. If you watch Georgia play, like, I think there's multiple teams in the Big 10 that will beat Georgia's ass. I'm just being honest with you. Like, I get it. They're the big bad. We won 2 national championships. Like, okay, cool. Like, they got Kirby Smart. That's fine. But when it comes to big time, like playoff match, you got to have the players. And when you look on Georgia's offense, they don't have anything on the offense that's scary. Anything. Exactly. And people be like, well, Carson Beck played bad or Carson Beck played good. And it's like, cool, but like Carson Beck's throwing to like a 5'10" white guy, bro. Like, I mean, what do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just being real. Like, they don't have Jeremiah Smith. They don't have Emeka even. They don't have this. They don't have guys like that, like Tez Johnson. They got Arian Smith. He's fast, but he ain't Tez Johnson.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like, that team don't look scary. And like Alabama, like there's multiple teams in the Big 10 that could beat them too. Because if you can stop Jalen Milroe from running, their offense gets real bad real quick. You know what I mean? And, don't get me wrong. Like, if you look at the top teams in the Big 10, you have teams like Penn State. I mean, Penn State can, their offense can be shut down. But you're not going to tell me that they couldn't compete in a game with Georgia.
I agree. That's what I was thinking, because it's like, it's really going to be about whose defenses, is able to get the most turnovers and things like that, or who offense pop first. I think that honestly a Georgia and Penn State game would be a really nice matchup. I think that would be a really good matchup as well. And, here's the thing, man. We've seen a lot of close games between Big 10, SEC opponents, and whether it's a close game or anything, SEC opponents would be like, oh, they won. They whooped y'all Big 10 butts or whatever. But you said that it was going to be a blowout. Well, that doesn't matter. No, don't move the goalposts now, SEC fans. So they're known for doing that. We're going to try to not allow them to do that. But Terry, man, what everybody is here for It's our game of the week. We have a top 5 matchup. Indiana comes into the Horseshoe in a Columbus, number 5 versus number 2, Ohio State, Indiana. There are so many storylines going around it. Who's has the most pressure, right? Signetti just getting his contract locked in before this game. Similarities to the Mel Tucker getting his contract before this big game. So many different storylines. I could literally continue to go down the list. A lot of people are saying that this is the upset of the week. So
It's not.
I mean, hey, you see the CBS crew. I think only one person on the CBS crew picked Ohio State to win this game.
Man, I don't give a fuck
and
about the
Ohio
CBS crew.
State also, I feel you. And the final storyline, sad news coming out of Columbus, Seth McLaughlin, the heart and soul of the offensive line. I say he was the quarterback of the offensive line, the head coach on the field for the offensive line. Seth McLaughlin goes down with a Achilles injury, and he's out for the season. But I will say this, good news. Seen him in the practice facility on the scooter, just the same way when JT Barrett went down, still being around the team, still being locked in with the team, still talking to players, still coaching guys up. So, that was the one thing that I love seeing, and I could take a positive out of, because I just remember when JT was on that scooter and scooting around and how he was firing guys up, helping guys, coaching guys up, helping them motivated. And to see that Seth isn't sitting there and, not in the corner pouting and just saying, oh, me. He is still about this team, even though this is his first year as a Buckeye. I think that says so much about his character. Terry, you want to speak on that?
Yeah. I mean, listen, first off, tragic for him, bro. Like, this is his last year in college football. Kid, all the fucking turmoil that he had to deal with from leaving Alabama. You know what I mean? Alabama fans talking mad shit about him. Michigan fans mad shit about him. And he comes to Ohio State. He's got to win over the team, all that, and he does it, bro. Like, Seth was balling this year, and there's no other way to put it, man. He was balling. He was on his way to winning, like, the Remington, being, like, the first center taken in the draft. You know what I mean? And just, it's tragic, bro, for him to non-contact injury, and just any injury. It don't even matter if it's non-contact. It's just, I don't know, man. But, I mean, it is part of the game. You know what I mean? Like, he'll bounce back. He's going to be an NFL player. He has the brain. An NFL team is going to want his, like, physical attributes combined with his ability to diagnose what he's seeing in front of him. So he's got a bright future still ahead of him, but I hate to see it because I feel like there was something special going on with this offensive line and this offense. And I mean, to kind of move past, like, the negative of it, I mean, we got a football game this weekend. Like, we got to play, you know what I mean? And like you said, he's around the football team, but Ryan Day actually in the press conference tonight, I don't know if you've seen it, Mike, but he made it official. He said, look, it happened. Seth is out. Carson's starting at center. Austin Searville starting at left guard. Everything else is staying the same. So, I mean, and then they asked Emeka about practice. He said the O-line was looking crazy good. So, I mean, obviously that's what he's going to say, you know what I mean? But, like, I want to know your thoughts. I mean, I believe it. Yeah, you know me, I'm Mr. Optimism this year. I used to be, listen, if y'all saw me when Kyle McCord was my quarterback, I was Mr. Pessimistic. But Kyle McCord ain't my quarterback no more. And my defense is blitzing a little bit. Listen, I'm on cloud 9. But I mean, I do think it's going to be okay. I think that they'll have some issues against Indiana. We'll give up a couple TFLs, maybe a sack, couple sacks, whatever. But for the most part, I think they'll be straight, man, and they'll fill in. Hopefully Carson learned a lot from Seth, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was we didn't get to see Carson Hinsman in the bowl game. We ain't gonna talk about that, the reasons why or whatever, but we thought that, Carson was, we're like, why aren't we seeing Carson, why didn't we see Carson at right guard, and why did they go to Tegra? Right? We was like, hey, why didn't we see Carson at left guard? Why did they go to Austin? And then come to find out that what they've been having Carson Hisman do is shadow Seth McLaughlin the whole time, right? So he's been learning everything from Seth. Like we said, Seth was the heartbeat. So he's basically been in shadow and learning everything from him. And I mean, that obviously helped them. Hopefully they had a good relationship, and that will help them to continue with this good relationship, and they can build. When they're not on the field, he can go to Seth, ask Seth for those pointers, different things like that, how to be better in certain areas. So it does give me a bit of confidence. And also, Carson has been in this situation. He's been on the road, big time game against Notre Dame. He's been on the road, big time game against that team up north. And I saw Teton fans was saying, whoever their backup center is, we're going to tee off on him and everything. And I'm like, you really didn't tee off that much on him last year, but okay.
and honestly, Mike, he's a lot physically better now too. Like, Carson was too small. He wasn't strong enough last year. That's just being real. Like, I think I loved him last year. Honestly, I hated when they benched him. I hated when they even brought in Seth, not knowing how good Seth was. But once I went and actually watched it, I was like, okay, this is a good move. And when they put Carson in the lineup, I told you, I'm like, on this show, I said, Carson has a nastiness to him, man. And it's even more now that he's a little bit older. And, he's going to be fine. And Austin, I don't know what to expect out of him. That's what worries me. Honestly, Austin Searveld in the Michigan game does worry me. Not to the point where I think they'll beat us, because I don't really think their offense is going to do shit against us. But
right.
It does worry me for like a couple plays, just because, their D tackles are obviously good. And I've seen him get beat, in the time that he's been in the game. But at the same time, I also seen Tegra get beat early in the year, and then he's gotten better as the year went on. And that seems to be what happens with Justin Frye, offensive lineman. So,
well, he's definitely going to have a test going up against one of the best defenses in the Big Ten. We got to go ahead and get into it, man. And we're talking about Ohio State's offense versus IU's defense, man. And right here, you're talking about in the Big Ten, Ohio State number 5 in passing offense, and IU number 7 in passing defense, with Ohio State number 3 in rushing offense, and IU in number 1 in rushing defense. Terry, man, like we were just talking about, worries about the offensive line, and now we're going into this against one of the number 1 Russian defenses. And again, everybody's going to sit here and say, hey, they haven't played anybody, but they played a common opponent in Nebraska, took care of business, right? Everybody else, they took care of business. What else can you say?
Now let me tell you this. So Indiana's defense, rushing defense, being number 1 in the Big Ten, that's a cool stat. They've also played like the worst teams in the Big Ten. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that like their rushing defense is going to go from being number 1 in the Big Ten to being terrible when they play Ohio State. But I think it's more like maybe 3, 4, or 5 in the Big Ten if they actually played against some of the better teams, right? Now, what is concerning for Indiana is their pass defense, with them not playing against the best teams in the Big Ten or at all in general. Their out of conference was garbage too. Their pass defense being 7th in the Big Ten, when you haven't played anybody, is very concerning, especially with this Ohio State passing attack. I know it's like 3rd in the Big Ten, whatever. We don't throw the ball as much as other teams, but it's lethal. And Will Howard is honestly hitting another level right now with his game, which we got to talk about that too, because I predicted my prediction last week was 3 Will Howard deep ball touchdowns. I thought I was going to get it for a minute, man. They was bombing that thing.
But before we continue to go, man, we got to shout out our guy, Mike Green. Appreciate you for the 2. He said Austin was getting killed in the Penn State game. And, but that's something that he was able to get reps on. That was one of the better defensive lines that you will see, not just in the Big Ten, but also in the country as well. So again, that's something that you was able to get reps on, something that you was able to take from, and hopefully we can keep that momentum moving. Also, when I think Donovan Jackson was talking about it when the guys was talking about when Simmons went down. They looked to the younger guys and said, "Hey, this ain't no vacation." You know what I'm saying? He said, "You here to play football, and it's time to get better." And he said that he saw a seriousness to the young guys taking that challenge. So hopefully we'll see that. And Mike
also real quick, Mike, before you move on from that super chat, also I don't really blame Austin too much, bro, because Tegra was the starter, and Austin would just get thrown in randomly for a series in the middle of the game. You know what I mean? And then he'll get taken right back out.
No rhythm.
So I'm not going to kill him for going in there and getting beat on a speed rush against a really good athlete from Penn State when he's literally playing like 2 series out of the game. You know what I mean?
I feel you. And Mike Green, appreciate the 2. Teton, they was able to load the box. They came with us. And that I agree with. And, honestly, I think that the game plan on the offensive side of the ball, Terry, I think we should come out and take a shot. We talked about, back in the Oregon game, right? We was talking about the size of the DBs that they have. And I felt like we didn't exploit that enough. And I'm hoping that we go into this Indiana game that we go ahead and we exploit that, man. Go ahead, throw that those deep passes. Throw it to G. Scott. We heard Will Howard speak on how he felt that was one of his better passes of the season or in that game against Northwestern. We also talked about, I want to see Carnell Tate. Everybody's going to be worried about JJ, but I think Carnell Tate can also eat in this game. So,
Carnell Tate can eat in any game, Mike.
Yeah. Shout out to our member, Agent Posh, always faithful, man. We appreciate you. How you doing?
Posh is the GOAT, man.
Yeah.
I met Posh. I don't know if you know that. I met her when I went to the Ohio State practice.
Yeah, you told me.
Coolest person, man. Coolest person. Yeah.
Yep. I gotta get up there and make my way up there, man. But on the offensive side, man, what are you expecting to see? Like I said, I want to see Ohio State take shots down the field early, often. What are you looking to see from the offense going up against Indiana's defense?
Yeah, and honestly, Mike, like you said, taking shots, it needs to be just part of the game plan, bro. Like if they're gonna stack the box, then we're gonna take shots. If they're not going to stack the box, then we're going to run the ball and RPO you to death. And that's kind of what our offense has been, dude. And having the ability to do both, like Will Howard getting confident with throwing the deep ball like he was in that last game, just throwing dots downfield. He was on balance. Everything looked like it was on time. That takes this offense to a whole new level. And then, Chip has been in his bag with the run game. So I want to see all that. Just all of it, man. Don't I don't want to just see one thing. I want to see all of it. Give me the Chip Kelly experience with some of the Ryan Day experience mixed in with chucking the ball deep. Give me all that. You know what I mean? And if we have to, if we're going to score 50 on them, let's do it. Like, this is one of them games where you mentioned like earlier, the Michigan State game a couple years ago, where we just went in there and just blew them out. They were like a top 10 team or whatever. I could see this game going that way as long as the team comes out with juice, the coaching staff, doesn't hold back anything or get tight because it's a top 5 game or none of that stuff.
Right.
Because I don't really think their defense is going to really have smoke for our offense. I really don't.
Yeah. I also, if we're going to do the short game, I want to see some mesh. I think some mesh, because this is what I'm expecting from Indiana to do on defense, especially with you having a center change, what they could possibly be thinking in the defensive room, right? Let's get after them early. Let's get some hits on the quarterback, get him a little rattled and not trusting this offensive line, right? So I think you come out either with like I said, those quick deep shots, going under center, because I remember you like that. I like that too. Will Howard going under center, take those deep shots, or go ahead and hit them mesh concepts, man. I remember how we used to do that back when we had Dwayne Haskins and how we used to use Paris Campbell on that. And if they're going to be aggressive, because I think that they are, if they're going to be aggressive, I think we need to use those mesh concepts and take full advantage of it, man.
Yep. And can we hit this comment right here from Jacob Evans, Mike? Though it says you think this new O-line is good enough to win 3 to 4 straight playoff games. And the answer to that question is no, I don't think that. But I think that they are good enough to win the Indiana game, and then they'll have experience together. And then I think they'll be good enough to win the Michigan game, and then they'll have experience together in another big game. And then I think they'll be good enough to beat Oregon. So they're going to continue getting better. And I mean, the Oregon game, obviously, that if we get there, that's a game that is going to be a tough game. They're a good team, right? But basically, to answer the question, they're not good enough right now. They're definitely not 100%. It takes a minute for our offensive line to gel. It takes a minute for the quarterback and the center to get on the same page. Seth and Will's timing is not going to be the exact same as Carson and Seth's timing. It's just not. It's not how it works, right? You think, they have a couple games to get those things in order. Now, they are big games, so they do need to kind of get on their horse and get it done. But if you're talking about 3 to 4 playoff games in a row, by that point, they will have 2 to 3 games of playing together. And I believe the players are good enough. Like, you're at Ohio State. Like, I believe that the players are good enough. Obviously, you get occasional players that are not good enough to play here. But I also don't believe that we just hold on to players that are not good enough to play here for a long time, especially recently. Like, I think we did that before in the past, but I think Ryan Day has kind of fixed that issue.
Agreed, brother. Agreed. Well, we got some more to get into, Terry, because Terry came out with these awesome tell of the tape graphic, man. We appreciate it. Now we're talking Ohio State's defense versus Indiana's offense, and you're talking about Ohio State 1-2 in the Big Ten, and Indiana is 4-4. Where you're talking about passing and rushing, man, on offense. So, Terry, tell me, what do you think about this getting into the, Ohio State's defense going up against this Indiana offense? Because that's one of the things that I am worried about.
And I'm not going to use the word worried. I'm not going to do that because I think that our defense, the one game that our defense really got exposed this year was the game against Oregon, and it's not the same defense. They're not at all the same defense. Like, okay, you have Denzel Burke out there. Denzel Burke got cooked a couple times in that game, right? That's fine. Denzel Burke also had 0 pass rush the whole entire game that was helping him out. You know what I mean? Like, how many times in that game did Denzel Burke strap somebody up? Nobody's watching for that. They're just looking, and obviously, players get beat, bro. Like, it happens. But with this game specifically, I think that our pass rush is going to be too much for them. If you look back at the Michigan game, Michigan's pass rush was just too much, dude. That's why Indiana was not able to consistently score points on them. And even when Michigan was rushing 4, so I am curious to see that part of it. When we do rush 4, are we able to get home? Because Michigan was able to while rushing 4. Now, it was later in the game. Earlier in the game, they had to rush more than that, or they wasn't getting any pressure at all. So I'm curious to see how that plays out, but I'm not going to use the word worried, bro. I think that I trust Tim Walton to get the corners right. I trust our safeties, to do their job. And I think the front 7 or 6 or whatever you want to call it has really been getting after the quarterback recently. So I think we're gonna get after him and hit Curtis Work multiple times and disrupt their timing. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it depends. Like, how are they gonna allow this game to be, man? Are they gonna allow this game to be physical, or are they not? Because I hope that they had Iggy. I hope Iggy was practicing with the mitts, bro, because I think the game after, when he had a whole week practicing with the mitts, I know he hates it, but I don't even think he got a holding call in the game that he practiced after he had the mitts on. So
it was the Penn State game, wasn't it? Was the game after?
No, it was the game after the Penn State game. So I'm not even sure if he even got a holding or anything after that game because he had the mitts on. So But again, I am worried about Denzel Burke. And I know you say like players get beat, but it seems like offensive coordinators are always seem to be looking for him, bro. And I don't know what it is, bro. But I am, you say you're not gonna use the words worried, bro. But there's just a lot of things in here that could have you a little bit worried. I think, I want to get into impact players starting on the defensive side. And I think the impact player that needs to show up in this game is going to be Caleb Downs, man. Jim Knowles talked about activating him. And I think that this is one of them games that you need to activate him on. I want to see him, helping out in coverage. I want to see him being able to come down. And I also want us, to be able to disguise things more, showing blitz from, one way. And I think that also we should be able to send Caleb Downs on the, on the blitz, have him come down looking like he playing nickel on someone. And then boom, he shoot in there. I know we've been using Jordan Hancock, but I think that we need to throw some different things at these guys. That's what I'm hoping to see on the defense. Their offense.
Real quick, let me comment on that.
Yeah.
Because I do think that we will send more stuff after them. Before you move on the offense, you was given a player of the game or like an impact player. I want to do that.
Impact player.
All right. So because I'm about to listen, every week I give like a bold prediction, an upset. I got 2 this week, so I'm getting a little crazy. And the one I just thought of right now. So my bold prediction or my impact player, however you want to put it, is Denzel Burke in this game. I think Denzel's going to get an interception and get himself right before the end of this season. I do believe in Denzel, and I've told you I can see why he got beat on the routes he got beat on against Oregon, and the rest of he's been getting beat like once a game, every single game this year, and it's pissing me off because every single weak ass quarterback and wide receiver combo that we play against has one absolute dot and absolute crazy ass catch that they're going to do on Denzel at least one time a game. They're going to tip the ball to themselves and just throw a perfect back shoulder and every single. So he'll probably get, he will get beat once or twice. But I think against Indiana, like they're going to get people open. They're good offense, right?
Right.
But I think Denzel's going to get an interception this week. I think they're going to try to throw one of them back shoulder throws, or they're going to try to throw like a screen and he's going to jump it. One of those two things. That's what I'm calling for this week. I do have an upset game. After we get done talking about Ohio State, I was talking to Steven in the chat. He was asking me what my upset game is.
That's all y'all saying. Upset game. We'll get to those soon. But it looks like the chat is having their impact player, man. The CJ Hicks turn into a monster. Could CJ Hicks be unleashed? And our guy Doug also said on another show that they was talking about CJ Hicks and Donovan Jackson were working on pass rush moves after. And I think that's great, man. I mean, I can't tell you guys how long I have been talking about CJ Hicks being a jack and not a linebacker. So I would love to see it more and more. Definitely want to see that. And I also love seeing these guys going ahead and getting work after practice. Again, talking about Ohio State's defense, apparently Igbinosa and Denzel Burke were getting work after practice as well. So
love that too.
I hope that all of that, that extra work translate on the field. But here's the thing I want to go back to because I remember when Day was talking about this. Are you the type of team that just shows up for those one big games or, do you show up for every game? And if you're doing that work, right, that work, that extra work after practice, and you see it translate on the field, do it every time. Do it every week because we heard about Marvin Harrison. If he felt he had a bad game, he going to practice after the game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's those consistent habits, those things that you do consistently is what makes you better and what makes you be a dominant player. So again, I'm hoping that I see we got our Notre Dame Mike is in the chat. He's talking. We're not going to give that much attention to a program that consistently loses to G5 opponents. So until y'all get that rectified? Then come holler at us. Anyways, but like I said, we gave our impact players on defense. Who would be an impact player for the Indiana defense? Because who I have is their defensive lineman, Mikael Kamara. Guy already has 9.5 sacks. Dude is on his way to have double-digit sacks this season. As long as he just keeps it up, bruh. And this is one of the defensive linemen that I think that Ohio State is definitely going to have to worry about, and it's going to be a test for them because the guy is normally like all over the field.
Yeah, and when I watched the Michigan game back just the other, I think yesterday, the Indiana-Michigan game, he really flashes. I mean, he's a hell of a football player, man. Now, I don't think he's like the game wrecker type of football player that's going to wreck at least against us. I'm sure he can against other teams. And I don't have another impact player. Like, he's the one I was going to pick. Like, that's the one player on their defense that I feel like is like, you really got to, you know what I mean? Like, you need to have a game plan for him. You can't just let him run around and do whatever he wants to do. So, I mean, that's really it for their defense. I mean, they like when I watched them play Michigan, that's the game I really focused on just because it was their most recent game, and it was a team who I feel like at least has some talent on it. I mean, Michigan was able to throw the ball on them. They were getting guys open. So nobody on their defense really flashed to me except for that guy.
All right. Well, you got to give us your impact players on offense for both teams.
Okay. All right. I got you. So for let's start with Ohio State. That's going to be the easier one. I haven't even thought about this yet, to be honest, but let me have Jeremiah Smith. That's so cheap. But listen, I think Will Howard is ready to take some deep shots. And if he's going to take some deep shots, I want to see I'm saying this, but when he threw it to Jeremiah, he dropped it and Carnell caught it. But I think they're going to throw some shots up to Jeremiah. And I think he's going to take, he's going to take one to the house, man. I don't know. It's tough to pick an offensive player because they're all good, bro.
I mean, to be honest, we could just say like for OSU, because I put Jeremiah on my list as well, right? I say zone 6 because I think the way you're going to have to beat IU is going ahead and pushing these guys like the safeties back. We've seen teams creep their safeties up or play everything, underneath and make you have to try to beat them up top. I felt like that's what Northwestern was doing to us, doing to Ohio State last week, right? And I just think that we need to go ahead and do bombs over Baghdad. So I think in zone 6 needs to eat in this game. I know Ryan Day doesn't want to get away from the running game, but I think that this is one of those games where you need to go ahead, get those guys out the way, and let the pass game open up the run game. And my other impact player is I was just going to say from Indiana is their quarterback, Curtis Rourke. Terry, you've been talking about this dude since the beginning of the season, man, and right now he is sitting in the top 6 in completion percentage in the country, or top 10 in completion percentage in the country. This guy's top 10 in QB rating in the whole country. We're not even talking conference. Like, this dude is number 2 in QBR by ESPN. So, I mean, this is a pretty good quarterback, and we saw where Jermaine Matthews had got cooked a couple times in a Northwestern game, and the quarterback just wasn't able to put the ball there. Curtis Rourke is the type of quarterback he's able to hit that. I think that Ohio State's defense is going to have to. I mean, this guy, he doesn't mind taking a hit and sitting in the pocket, stepping up as well. So I think that's their impact player. He continues to do good. I think they're going to have a good game.
Yeah, for me, Mike, it's going to be similar, but to me, it's their offensive line, because I think that for your guy to be an impact, like a huge impact on the game, their offensive line is going to have to be able to hold up. And watching the Michigan game, once their offensive line started giving up, and they were getting to the quarterback, he really got off with his timing, and he really wasn't hitting throws like you would normally see him hit. So I'll go with Indiana's offensive line for their most impactful unit on their offense.
All right. Well, Terry, I think the people want to know our score predictions. Everybody, I know you see the poll in the chat right now. I asked, who do you have as Indiana or Ohio State? We got 87 people in the chat. I mean, not 87, 87% on Ohio State. Only 13% have chosen Indiana. And I think I know where a couple of those came from. Shout out Jacob. Shout out Notre Dame, Mike. We know y'all picked Indiana. You don't have to hide it. Just go ahead and let us know. We know you picked Indiana in the poll. It is what it is. But Terry, score prediction.
So my score prediction for Indiana versus Ohio State. I hate when people ask me to do score predictions, man, because I like to get disrespectful.
I hate it too.
But I like to get disrespectful with it though. All right. If you do a score prediction, let me ask you this, right? Because I know when you think of a football game, you're thinking like, okay, this game could go this way, it could probably go this way, or it could probably go this way. So when I ask for a score prediction, which one do you use? Like the middle one?
Yeah, I'm like in the middle. Like,
see, I always use the high one because I'm like, my team's about the ball, right? So my score prediction for this game is 38-14.
38-14. Dang. And if you are saying that, all SEC fans believe that if Ohio State did that to Indiana, they should be out the college football playoffs. Do you think that if Ohio State beats them like that?
No, dude. With one loss, no.
Right,
I don't like.
right.
Like if you're gonna tell me that too, listen. I get that the schedule matters. I get that they didn't play nobody who's amazing. Whatever. Like they also didn't squeak by their schedule. They've been beating the hell out of everybody.
Right.
Like you can't like if Georgia played that schedule and beat the hell out of everybody and then played one good team, you would want them. Like think about Ohio State last year. Our schedule wasn't crazy last year, right? We played everybody. We beat the hell out of everybody we played pretty much. We lost to Michigan. Do you think we should have not been in the 12-team playoff? No, what the fuck? No, like that's stupid. That's so silly. SEC fans are stupid, bro. They're trying to. The whole thing that they're trying to say is that Indiana would lose to like the 5th or 6th best team in the SEC, and I don't think that's true. I just don't like. I get it. You're 5th. You know, you guys are beating up on each other, and that makes you look bad. But don't worry. Everybody in the country knows that Georgia's a good football team. Like we know. Everybody knows Alabama's a top 12 football team. Like they're going to get in unless they just do something stupid and lose 3 games.
Yeah. So my whole thing was this, man. You know, that offensive line was gelling, had chemistry, and I was willing to, you know, possibly say that we get in the 30s, right? I think that the score will probably be around, let's say, 34-13 Ohio State. And the reason being is Ohio State has had issues in the first half. Especially in the first quarter, starting slow. And if, you know, Cignetti holds the ball, keeps the ball, stops them from getting the possessions that they need, then, you know, this could be, you know, more on the, like I said, 24-point side, 13 side. So hopefully Ohio State comes out with that dub. Like I said, it will be on my birthday this Saturday. So, you know, let's go.
And listen, I told you before I even gave my prediction, like I can see the game going 3 ways. All the ways I can see the game going, I think Ohio State wins. But I can see the game going 3 ways, and the one in the middle will probably be closer to, you know, like something you're talking about. But listen, we haven't played a full game all year, man, and it's we're due for one. We're due for one full game, and if Ohio State puts together, let me slow down, puts together a full game on offense and defense, it's going to get ugly out there. And I seen someone in the comments say we didn't even do that to Northwestern, but like we could have, like,
bro, we could have scored 60 on them, but we wasn't trying.
Like, yeah, like that's not. I think that Ohio State gets to 38-14 by like scoring late. You know, we scored 2 touchdowns late or something like that. It was a close game in the third quarter, maybe, and we scored 2 touchdowns late and kind of get the game blown out of the water. So that's where I'm at with it.
All right, Terry. You know what the people are here for. You know what segment it is. It's Terry's upset segment, man. Terry, let the people know, Terry, who is on upset alert. Because they say it's all Ohio State. But besides Ohio State, who else would be on upset alert?
All right, so we've been talking a lot about the SEC, and I won't be surprised if after this weekend we see SEC fans clamoring for Florida with 5 losses to get into the college football playoffs because Florida is going to beat Ole Miss this weekend. At Florida, Ole Miss is number 9, sitting at 8-2, beat Georgia's ass. Florida is going to beat them. DJ Lagway is back from being injured. I think Florida would have beat Georgia if DJ Lagway wasn't injured. Then the SEC, they would have been really crying in because Georgia would have had 3 losses. But that's my upset of the week. Unranked 5-5 Georgia over Ole Miss.
Man, my upset of the week is watch out for Army at 7 o'clock in South Bend against Notre Dame. And the FPI predictor has Notre Dame at 87.5. They obviously open up as a 15-point favorite. Well, they opened up at a 17-point favorite. It has now dropped to 15. Go ahead and give me Army plus 15.
I can see that, man. I can really see that. But listen, I don't want to say this because Dallas dude is in here, but I've been a little high on Notre Dame. I think they can actually make a run. They can actually do something in the playoffs. So we'll see. Listen, I wouldn't be mad if that happened because if that happens, Notre Dame's out of there. Yeah, they might be frauds. You know,
now defense, they do got a defense. I will say that. Like that's one thing I will give Notre Dame credit, you know, because even their loss to NIU, like NIU didn't score many points, right? I think it was even under 20, if I'm not mistaken. But I have seen issues out of Riley Leonard that I don't like. I'm interested in this Army defense and what they can do. But here's the thing about teams like Army, and I know they went up against Navy, but I don't think that Navy is set up like Army is, right? And I really believe like this Army team is disciplined. I believe they know what they're doing. Their quarterback has only thrown 1 interception all season long. So I think Army, as long as they don't make no mistakes, I think they could pull the upset. And Notre Dame fans, I just want you to know, if y'all lose this game, y'all can forever kiss the college football playoffs goodbye until you join the conference.
Yeah.
And like I'm saying, you're going to probably have to join the ACC or the Big 12 because we know if you get in the Big 10 or the SEC, you damn sure not making no damn college football playoffs in those conferences. So your best chance is to go to the ACC. But if you lose this game to Army, you can kiss your college football playoff hopes alive for about ever. You can kiss being independent away forever.
Yeah. And Army's will make the playoffs.
Oh, you think so? You think they'll put an Army in?
If they beat Notre Dame, dude, if they beat Notre Dame and they're undefeated, they're gonna shoot up.
What's Notre Dame's best win?
That don't matter, bro. I'm talking about Army. I don't care about Notre Dame.
LSU?
No, Notre Dame sucks. But I'm talking about Army.
No, but I don't see how you punish Boise for their only loss being to the number 1 team in the nation. That's my only thing, bro. That's my only thing. But we did see how they could do it though. So they did show where you would have had Boise make it. And then I think it was like they had it where Boise would make it if BYU won out. They would not be automatic conference champ. It would be go to Boise State. They did show that scenario last night in the college football rankings as well. So we appreciate everybody, man. If you liked what you listened to, make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you hit the like button. Let us know what you think the score is. If you think Ohio State going to get upset, Let us know in the comments section as well. Make sure you share this with your friends, your family. Help us grow. We appreciate that. Terry, let the people know where they can find you.
Yep, hit the like button also. I don't know if Mike said that, but that'll really help us out, get some more people in here so we can argue in the chat. But you can find me at CFB_stop, and then just all over Best Damn Media whenever I can be on here, usually on Tuesdays, and then obviously on here with Mike. So, hey, thanks everyone for coming. I appreciate you. Mike, hit that last super chat before we get out of here.
Man. I think I missed a couple of them. Mike Green, appreciate the 2. Will has hit his stride. Great ball placement. Yes, he did. He looks better from the Northwestern game. He definitely looked a lot better. Looked like they gaining that chemistry. And Doug, we appreciate you for the 5 with the OHIO. And if you want to follow me, man, you can follow me on Twitter or the X app at 216_Wildboy. We appreciate all of you all. And with that, we are